Hello my friends and welcome to the Electric Viking. Now I think you should watch this video and I'll tell you why. You're probably baffled. You're probably baffled as to why I have chosen to invest such a large amount of my portfolio. In fact, 70% of my portfolio in Tesla. Probably appears to you, you're a very logical, smart person, that Tesla right now are tremendously overvalued. I mean, their PE ratio right now is 650? It's maybe the highest of any stock in the world. It appears kind of ludicrous at face value. And that's a fair summation. Now, right now, there are still many people, just casual observers, professional investors, stock analysts, who say Tesla is massively overvalued and will lose half of its value by this time next year. Now, billionaire Ron Baron, one of the greatest investors of all time, predicts that Tesla will return 300% over the next decade. I think he's wrong, but let's get to that later. Now, Ron Baron isn't the only investor who's extremely bullish on Elon Musk's companies. Now, you're probably thinking, who is Ron Baron? Well, Ron Baron is the guy who correctly predicted that Tesla stock would hit $1,000 per share in 2020. And many people laughed at him at the time. But he's one of the few investors who actually understood Tesla many years ago and still has a pretty good understanding of them now. Now, Ronald Stephen Baron is an American mutual fund manager and investor. He's the founder of Baron Capital, an investment management firm. The New York City-based firm that he founded manages Baron Funds, which he also founded, and has approximately $50 billion of capital under management. Baron's worth a bit over $3 billion. Now, quite bizarrely, he actually sold 1.8 million Tesla shares, despite saying that the price would hit $2,000 on March the 4th of this year. Now, Baron actually sold these shares for clients since August of last year, despite believing the stock would increase to $2,000 within 5 years. Now, Baron is a long-standing Tesla shareholder, and he told CNBC that his firm sold the shares because they were becoming too large a percentage of some portfolios. He said it was painful selling every single share that I had to sell, adding that he personally hasn't sold any of his more than 1.1 million shares of Tesla. The reason he sold them, he says, was risk mitigation. And he said it was appropriate for his clients regarding the sale of their shares of Tesla. Now, Baron Capital actually held more than 6.1 million Tesla shares as of February 28 of this year. And they were purchased at an incredible, get this, average cost of $42 per share. And that's before the stock split. So that's the equivalent of about $15 per share. Now, Baron said he plans to retain his shares for 10 years at least, saying he told Tesla CEO Elon Musk that he would be the last one out if it came to that. Now, obviously, Baron has balls of steel. I mean, Tesla has gone through so many ups and downs there. I mean, not quite to the level of Bitcoin, but it's not that far away from it, is it? Now, in June of this year, Baron said he believes there's 10 times more to go on the upside on Tesla stock. And he predicts that they will become a $2 trillion company. You can see why he's holding on. Now, the interesting thing is that Ron Baron's actually very speculative of other EV startups. Now, he was talking about several other companies that have or are planning to go public through reverse mergers with special purpose acquisition companies. Here was his quote. If you think all these companies starting up are going to make it, I think it's a dream. I think it's astonishing they're getting so much capital. So Ron Baron is not some kind of Tesla fanatic. He's actually one of the world's smartest investors. Now, another quote he recently made was he said that Elon Musk companies are innovating at the speed of light in a recent interview with David Rubenstein for Bloomberg Wealth. Now, Baron has big hopes for SpaceX, and he believes Tesla will return at least 300% to investors over the next 10 years. Now, as I already said, his firm, Baron Capital Management, was among Elon Musk's largest investors in 2016 with a 1% stake in Tesla. Now, obviously, he's held on and he's even invested more since then. And incredibly, of course, he's now one of Tesla's largest shareholders. Now, Barron says we invested $380 million between 2014 and 2016, which was 1.5% of our assets at the time. So far, we've made $4 billion in profit, and I think we're going to make maybe 3 or 4 times that in the next 10 years. Now, the reason he said he initially invested in Tesla was, he says, with Tesla, I thought the opportunity was to convert the cars that we make in the US from gasoline to electric, and that hadn't been accomplished before. In order for this to happen, you had to be a spectacular engineer and a great leader and have an understanding of technology. And then you had to fight the entrenched interests, which were the car dealers and the automobile companies and the oil companies. I was betting on Elon Musk, and most people bet against him. So they're innovating at the speed of light. And they're doing that with the cars, and they're doing that with space through SpaceX. Now, he was asked how he thinks Elon Musk can run 2 companies, or more than 2. Obviously, he's running about 4 or 5 companies at once. And he said, he's working ungodly hours, totally dedicated, and doesn't need very much sleep. I was speaking to a director of SpaceX 2 nights ago, and I said, how is Elon doing? And she says, he's doing unbelievably. He lives in this small cottage, 2 bedrooms on this desert property. It's worth nothing. And he works all but 5 hours a day. Do you know anyone that does that? Damn, that is impressive. Now, I think they'll at least 20x their profit within 5 years, from 380 million to 8 billion. That's one of the reasons I believe Ron Barron's forecast is conservative. Now, why will they do this? Now, remember, Elon Musk is extremely analytical, to the point of being mildly Asperger's, or maybe not mildly, maybe full-blown Asperger's, I'm not sure. But he's much more analytical than you and me. And in addition to that, he has a photographic memory. Now, imagine having a catalog and an encyclopedia and an analytical computer for a brain. That's the kind of person who is in charge of Tesla. And now that is why Tesla are planning to sell 20 million electric cars in the year 2030. Nobody else is doing that, right? That's great, sure. Yep, that's good. And that, I believe, is the number that Ron Barron is using to justify or explain the reason he believes the company will increase by 300%. Personally, I don't think Ron Barron fully understands what Tesla is actually doing. I don't think he fully understands that Tesla is actually disrupting the energy industry. It's in the process of disrupting the entire energy industry. It's not going to be the only one to do this. There'll be multiple companies doing this, but Tesla will be one of the biggest players in this disruption. This is a bigger industry than the automotive industry. The automotive industry is the second largest industry in the world, and obviously they're going to disrupt that. But remember, he's disrupting not just these 2 industries, energy and automotive. They're also disrupting the entire transportation industry with autonomy, trucking, taxis, all those kinds of things. The world will be a very different place in 2030 versus what it is today. Now, in addition to this is, I believe, the Trump card. I believe this Trump card may or may not play out. I don't guarantee that this Trump card will actually work. I think it's more of maybe a 50-50 chance. And that is robotics. If Tesla is actually able to achieve their goals in the robotics sector by building a human robot which can actually fulfill day-to-day tasks and do it at a price that the businesses and people can afford, this is the number one thing that will completely transform the world. Global GDP will triple easily. There'll be incredible efficiency created and incredible wealth created. And of course, there'll be downsides, but mostly I see upsides. And mostly, I think Tesla has a good chance of actually building this robot. When? Well, I think realistically, we're looking at a timeline of probably around between 2028 and 2032. And you probably think, oh, you're a massive Tesla homer, but I'm talking 7 years to 11 years in advance from now. I'm not talking about 1 year. That's the kind of stuff, if somebody says, yeah, they're going to do all this amazing stuff within 12 months, okay, that's when you got to question it. But I'm talking seriously 7 to 11 years away. Tesla will, using A lot of their software that they're using in autonomy, use that same software in robotics and enable robotic, which will enable them to absolutely nail their goal, which is to create a human-like robot. The key is the software. The key is the neural network. And in my view, if Tesla is able to nail this, their valuation will be at a minimum of 600% more than what it is today. Absolute minimum. Now, Tesla may or may not succeed in disrupting all of these industries I've just talked about. And there's other things they want to do as well. But remember, we're in the stage of enormous disruption, a disruption at a level in which the world has never seen before. And it's hard to recognize this because disruption's like watching the grass grow. You don't realize it's happening until 2 weeks later you walk outside and all of a sudden the grass is up to your knees. That's what happens. You can't see it visibly, so you just don't realize how quickly it's happening. But Tesla have no baggage to weigh them down, like all of Legacy Auto has. All of Legacy Auto, every single one. The only automaker right now that is shedding that baggage at an incredible rate is BYD. And that is because, well, they own the 4th largest battery company in the world. So Legacy Auto has years worth of employees and managers doing things in an old school way, in the way that they've always done them. And that works until it doesn't. And then what happens is people refer to them as Kodak or Nokia. Now, personally, Elon, to some degree, does remind me of Edison. And what I really love is he's gathering highly qualified people to work on problems together. He recognizes the fact that he isn't always the smartest man in the room when it comes to solving specific tasks. Remember, Tesla has an enormous cash pile. They have an enormous reserve of cash, thanks to, of course, mostly their enormous share price. And they've capitalized on that. They're in a position to basically hire most of the most skilled people in robotics around the world. Because, why? Money talks. Now, like I said, robots are an incredible sleeper technology that will see Tesla rise dramatically if they can actually deliver, which I think is probably just a matter of time. Robots will transform all work everywhere across the globe, and it will happen eventually, whether Tesla pulls it off or someone else does. The only question is when. Now, personally, I highly doubt that the average person, in fact, I highly doubt that 99 people out of 100 are considering the value of robotics and other innovations that Tesla is working on right now. Robotics just can't be overestimated. Thanks for watching the video. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye-bye.